"You don't belong here anymore, Aaron. Pack up your things." That's what my manager spat at me the morning I was dragged into HR. No explanation. No severance. Just humiliation in front of my coworkers as my badge was disabled and my email account locked. By noon, I wasn't an employee anymore, I was a ghost. 10 years of late nights, 10 years of covering shifts, 10 years of loyalty. Gone in minutes. I stood in the parking lot with a cardboard box of my things, watching security guards eye me like I was a criminal. They thought I'd walk away quietly, humiliated and broken. But what they didn't know was that in trying to erase me, they left behind the very evidence that would destroy them. Before I tell you how betrayal became freedom, subscribe to Lawful Payback and comment where you're watching from. My name is Aaron Blake. I'm 42, from Denver, Colorado. For a decade, I worked as a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized shipping company, Lockwell Freight Solutions. I wasn't flashy, but I was dependable. When storms shut down highways, I rerouted deliveries. When drivers quit, I filled in the gaps. I was the guy who kept the wheels turning. My paycheck wasn't huge, but it was steady. It paid the mortgage, kept the lights on, and supported my wife Claire and our 2 kids. Claire was back in school, so most of the financial weight was on me. I believed loyalty meant job security. But things changed. A new management team arrived, young, ambitious, obsessed with cutting unnecessary costs. They spoke in buzzwords and cared more about graphs than people. To them, loyalty was outdated. I was a number on a spreadsheet. When my login failed one morning, I thought it was a server glitch. But when HR called me in, everything went silent. A single printed paper waited on the desk, position eliminated. By noon, my career was over. And I had no idea they weren't just firing me. They were about to use my name to commit fraud. At first, I was numb. 10 years of service erased like I'd never existed. They made sure to escort me out like a criminal. The humiliation burned more than the loss. At home, Claire tried to be strong, but I saw the worrying in her eyes every night. I spent days applying for jobs, rewriting my resume, sending emails that went unanswered. Weeks turned to months. The phone stopped ringing. I started noticing something strange, interviewers acting distant after background checks. Then one recruiter finally leveled with me. "Your former employer didn't recommend you," she said carefully. "They said you were uncooperative." That word hit like a punch. Uncooperative. The same company I'd sacrificed weekends for was now poisoning my reputation. Bills piled up. Mortgage notices arrived. Claire took double shifts at a diner. I took handyman jobs, hauling boxes, patching drywall, even mowing lawns for neighbors. Every night, I'd sit at the kitchen table staring at spreadsheets of debt, whispering to Claire, "I don't know how much longer we can survive this." One night, I decided to organize my old work files, the small act of control in a life spinning apart. That's when it happened. On an old external hard drive, I saw new reports under my name, dated months after I'd been fired. I froze. The documents weren't just recycled templates. They were live contracts, stamped with my digital signature. Files linked to ongoing deliveries and invoices. I opened more. Same thing, my name, my ID number, transactions I never approved. They hadn't just erased me. They'd stolen me, my identity, my work, my credibility. That's when the anger finally broke through the despair. I realized this wasn't just wrongful termination. It was criminal. I didn't know where to start. Who would believe me? A fired employee claiming identity theft by a corporation. They had lawyers, money, power. I had nothing. I thought about letting it go. Then one night, my phone buzzed. A message from Lisa, a former coworker. She was nervous. "Aaron, I shouldn't be saying this, but they've been using your templates. I saw the managers tell the new interns to keep using your reports until they figured things out." She forwarded me internal emails. Subject line: "Continue using Aaron's forms until further notice." It was all there. Timestamps, signatures, even approval chains with my ID. I felt my heart race. I wasn't crazy. It was real. I spent the next week gathering every shred of proof, contracts, emails, file metadata, digital timestamps. It was airtight. The hopelessness that had drowned me for months hardened into something new, resolve. They thought I'd fade away quietly, but I was holding the weapon that could bring them down. When I stepped into Ms. Alvarez's office, I was shaking. She was a calm, precise woman, the kind of lawyer who spoke softly but made every word count. I laid everything on her desk: the contracts, Lisa's emails, my old digital signature samples. She scanned the evidence, her expression tightening. Then she leaned back, tapping the folder. Aaron, she said, this isn't just a wrongful firing. This is identity theft, fraud, and defamation. If we win, it's not just a paycheck, it's justice. We filed suit within days. The company hit back instantly. Their legal team, 5 lawyers deep, painted me as a bitter ex-employee. They claimed I stole confidential data, twisted documents, fabricated evidence. I almost gave up. Every letter from them felt like a blow. They filed motions to dismiss, to delay, to drain me financially. Ms. Alvarez remained composed. Let them fight, she said. We'll outlast them. Months dragged on. Discovery began. That's when cracks formed. We found internal chat logs. Executives mocking me. We'll milk Aaron's reports until the interns catch up. Don't worry, he'll never fight back. That line, he'll never fight back, replayed in my head every night. It stopped being about revenge. It became about reclaiming the part of me they tried to erase. The day we got the trial date, Claire hugged me tight. No matter what happens, she whispered, you fought for your truth. For the first time in a year, I believed I could win. The courtroom smelled like old wood and tension. Their executives sat at the defense table, suits, smirks, confidence. I sat across from them, hands clenched, trying not to shake. The company's attorney opened smoothly. Mr. Blake was terminated for restructuring. Any post-termination documentation was clerical overlap. Nothing malicious. They sounded rehearsed, untouchable. For a while, it worked. Even I started doubting. Maybe the jury couldn't see the truth beneath the corporate polish. Then Ms. Alvarez stood. She began calmly. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about overlap. This is about a man whose name and livelihood were stolen by the very people who fired him. She projected one of the contracts on the screen, my name, my digital signature, dated 3 months after my termination. The CEO smiled coolly. Simple clerical mistake, he said. Alvarez nodded. A mistake? She gestured to a forensic analyst who stepped forward. This expert will confirm that Mr. Blake's signature was digitally lifted, pixel by pixel, from an older file. The analyst explained how metadata proved manipulation. The jury leaned forward. Then came Lisa. Her voice trembled as she testified. They told us to reuse Aaron's reports until new staff caught up. We all knew it was wrong. Finally, Alvarez displayed the email, the one that said, we'll milk Aaron's work until the interns can handle it. He'll never fight back. Silence filled the room. You could feel the shift, the arrogance draining from their faces. When the verdict came, the judge's words echoed like thunder. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff, Aaron Blake. The defense table fell still. Alvarez squeezed my hand. It was over. The settlement changed everything: back pay, damages, and public apology. The number was life-changing. But more than money, it was vindication. Lockwell Freight's executives were fired. Their licenses suspended pending investigation. News outlets picked up the story. Company found guilty of identity fraud against former employee. Their brand collapsed overnight. I used the settlement to clear debts, secure my kids' future, and finally breathe. Claire and I stood outside the courthouse, watching reporters shout questions. She smiled, tears in her eyes. You did it. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. Because here's the truth. They tried to erase me, but in doing so, they exposed their own corruption. Their greed became the evidence that destroyed them. Sometimes, justice doesn't come fast. Sometimes it crawls, bruised and beaten, but it comes. And when it does, it burns brighter than revenge. If you believe truth always wins in the end, subscribe to Lawful Payback and tell me where you're watching from. The next story will leave you speechless.